Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I want to say a huge thank you to Michael Martin for sending in these really cool pictures of his Militarum Tempesta Scions, his Storm Troopers, looking absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sending in these pictures, Martin. I just want to say possibly my favourite one is a sort of little command centre with the guy at the computer and Lord Creed and the company commander sort of shouting over his shoulder. I also really like the Van Saar conversion you've got in there. I believe it's one of the Van Saar gangers from Necromunda that you've converted up. Looks really, really good. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they'd like to send in to me, please post them down on my Facebook page. If you could post them on the page rather than send them to me in a message, I'm just much more likely to see them there, okay? But yeah, if you've got any, there'll be a link down in the description below if you want to post some pictures on my Facebook page. And if they are really cool, or some action shots, or a good paint job, or if I just like them, then I will use them in my videos. And that's just my way of saying thank you for taking the time to send them in to me. So thank you for sending these pictures in, Michael. And now let's get on with today's video. Now, last week we did a few videos about mind games. How to sort of get in the mind of your opponent and how to use that to your advantage. Now, a lot of people found that those videos quite useful. There were a couple of people that were like, "Oh, I don't really like this whole. It seems a bit sinister, playing mind games on your opponent. 40k is for fun." Before we go on, I just want to address that point that was raised. We're talking from a competitive standpoint here, guys, and I'm not talking like you need to be doing psychoanalytic tests on your opponent. No, it's not like that. It's just these are just factors to be aware of. That's all. It's just things to be aware of that will help you become a better wargamer. That's it. And being aware of your opponent's state of mind is very important. And I think there's two things actually I want to bring up here. One, if it's a tournament game. If it's a local tournament, it's not so much. But if you're playing in a proper grand tournament, we're talking at least 2 days, something with serious prize support, you want to, and something with serious credibility behind it, then of course you want to try your hardest when you go there. If your aim is to go there and win, then of course you want to try your hardest and go there to win. If you're playing just a friendly game, don't be like mind fucking your opponent every 5 seconds. It's a friendly game. Have fun. Don't worry about it. And I don't want to go on about this too much, but one thing I'd like to say is I have had many games, including those in tournaments, where my opponent has been seriously voodooed. Okay, not through anything that I've done, not through any mind games I was playing on him, just I was aware of the state of mind of my opponent. And they wanted to give up. They're like, I'm going to concede. There's no way I can win. And this was like turn 2. This happens all the time around IG, especially with playing Pure Infantry. Pure Infantry IG turn 2, turn 3. And I'm sure we've all had it where we've had a couple of hot turns with our units and the opponent wants to give up. And I've had it, and this is in a tournament as well, guys. Many friendly games, also tournament, where I've been like, no, man, just continue on, just play on. You don't know it's a dice game. It might, don't give up, just keep going. Now, if I was a real hardcore, cold-hearted piece of shit, I'd be like, oh, well, if you're going to give up, you might as well give up, man. Like, you're going to give up. But no, that's not me. I want to have a good game. So I've encouraged my opponents to keep playing. Sometimes, the vast majority of the time, the outcome of the game didn't change. My opponent didn't die. But you know what? We got to 5, we got to 6 turns. My opponent went down swinging, and he went away feeling a lot happier. Because if someone concedes and then fucks off, that what they will say is, oh, that game was awful, I hated that guy. No, if you make them play on and you have a good time, you know you're going to win, but you play it okay, then that person will go away, and often you will get some like favourite game votes, or you just go and get a beer with them afterwards. You just chill. You're like, that time when your spaceman captain charged into that squad and just like took them all out. That was epic, and they have that chat afterwards. So it's different between like casual. So what I'm saying is like, mind games are things to be aware of. You don't have to be like going hardcore Freud on your opponent. Just something to be aware of. Okay. I don't want people thinking I'm some sort of psycho. Now, that actually leads me on to the point I want to talk about today, which is Alpha Strike and the Imperial Guard. Okay, how to Alpha Strike as the Imperial Guard, because this again leads us into mind games. Okay, and if we're playing in a proper tournament, guys, and we want to win, and we want to get the most points possible in many tournaments, the way you do that is by either your opponent conceding or being tabled. Not always, but that's how it is most of the time. Now, an Alpha Strike is one of the easiest ways to do that. Okay, it can be kind of tricky to do as the Imperial Guard, though, just because we have so many unit options. Sometimes we take this whole smorgasbord of units, but then we don't have enough to pull off an effective Alpha Strike. Now, for those of you who are particularly new or haven't come across the terminology before, I'm sure many of you will have done, Alpha Striking is essentially, in your first turn, doing as much damage to your opponent as possible, to the point, obviously you're going to do as much damage as possible, but you've built your army to have a horrendous amount of damage output, early game damage output. Okay? And to the point where in one, maybe 2 turns, you cripple your opponent to the point where he cannot come back. Okay? Where he has taken so much damage, there is nothing he can do. It is over. He is just playing out the games. He's playing out the turns at that point. I have seen at many tournaments, I'm sure those of you who have been to big tournaments as well, I have seen games resolved by the end of turn 1 because both sides had a great Alpha Strike potential. One side went first and just cleaned the other side up, and there's nothing they could do. Now, obviously, that can make for very swingy games, but having a very strong Alpha Strike can make it easy for you to win your first few games. And then when you start getting up into the top tables, you have to be able to really play it out every turn, for every turn length. Now, that's the principle. You do so much damage where they can't come back, and your opponent's seriously food and probably gives up. Okay, now, the way a lot of armies used to do this is with deep striking units. Okay? But now that when we deep strike, we only come in on turn 2. Deep striking Alpha Strike, I now consider to be more of a beta strike. Okay? Because that stuff's not coming until turn 2. And so I consider a pure Alpha Strike something that you can execute on turn 1. So, what I have found to be very effective with the Imperial Guard, though, because you have to take in, let's take into account our main army's factors, which is we have great firepower, but relatively poor ballistic skill. Okay. So the problem with Imperial Guard Alpha Strikes often can be, on paper, they look incredibly potent, but you get to the tournament and then you have things like -1 to hit modifiers. Or you just have the fact that you're only hitting on a 4 most of the time, and suddenly you have that one bad round where you just can't hit. You're getting all 3s. Pardon me, you're getting all 3s. Then your Alpha Strike falls flat. That's the problem with Imperial Guard. It's a little too swingy. So how to Alpha Strike as Imperial Guard is actually something that is important. You would just think, oh, just take a fuckload of guns. Take whatever you want, take some guns. Yeah. It is essentially that, but I think an effective Imperial Guard Alpha Strike is actually a combination of an Alpha and a Beta Strike. Okay? You have to have that 1-2 punch. The first punch makes your opponent waver. The second punch makes your opponent fold. Okay? That's how it should be. Everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Okay? Then if you punch them again in the mouth, they're definitely going to give up. Alright? So, how would I execute this? Okay, well, first off, I think if you're building an Alpha Strike, you have to build your army around it. You can't take a selection of units and expect to be able to Alpha Strike every time. You have to build that into your army selection. Right to the point when it comes to choosing your regiment. Now, I would say the best regiment for conducting an Alpha Strike would be Cadian. Okay, because Cadian's doctrine is focused purely on shooting. You're getting reroll ones, which is even if you're only hitting on 4s, is increasing your chances of getting some hits. You can have the potential, especially on your infantry, to reroll all hits. You have access to units like PASC. You have access to stratagems like overlapping fields of fire, which can help counter negative to hit modifiers or just give you a boost to hit in general. When you think about it, so how I have built my Acadian Alpha Strike in the past, I've taken 100 infantry, no upgrades, just as pure screening, 2 lines of 50, and objective holding and moving and all that kind of stuff. I've then taken, I think it was 8 Lehman Russes. If you want to see my Acadian Alpha Strike, let's go and take a look at my Imperial Guard versus Imperial Knights battle report. Okay. That was a list where I had, I think it was 8 Liam Russes, and they were Acadian. And when you think about that, I had PASC and three tank commanders, and then 3 or 4 regular Liam Russes. Okay. If you use PASC hits on 2s, rerolling 1s. If you get him to wound something, then you can activate overlapping fields of fire, which then turns all your tank commanders into PASCs as well, because then they all hit on 2s, because they would hit on 3s, +1 for overlapping fields of fire, hit on 2s, they stay still, rerolling 1s. That is a horrendous amount of firepower. Absolutely horrendous. And it really should be something that's taken into consideration. Another thing you want to consider is, for a good Alpha Strike, obviously, is artillery. Now, this comes down to the age-old debate of, do I take Manticores or do I take Basilisks? Manticores are very swingy. The problem with Manticores is, every time I seem to fire my Manticore, I never get more than 4 shots out of it. But they have that potential to do 12 shots, which is really, really powerful. Being honest, I think you are better to take advantage of the Basilisk for a more reliable Alpha Strike. You get to pick 2d6, pick the number of shots. 2d6, pick the highest number of shots. You can use things like Aerial Spotter on the Basilisk, which I do not believe you can use on a Manticore, but correct me if I'm wrong, comment section. Which allows you to reroll all hits, which means, again, you are going to be more reliable. And it's got a very decent gun, the Basilisk. Strength 9, AP -3 is powerful. And you can hide it behind line of sight. So that's the kind of things you need to take into account. Yeah, sure, like you've got units out there which can do okay, which can do okay. But things like Hellhounds, they're great units, but they're not really an Alpha Strike unit. They're things to take into consideration. You have Imperial Guard Alpha Strike is about genuine, serious, accurate long-range firepower. For a good Alpha Strike, you want to be able to hit hard and hit reliably. That is the key to it. Okay. Now, the second part is that's the first punch. That gets your opponent wavering. If you've got things like 3 Basilisks, PASC, 3 tank commanders, and then a whole load of infantry, just to screen them. You then need sort of 80 to 100 infantry to screen them. That's good. But you need to be able to follow that punch up with your beta strike. Okay, and this is where the Scions come in. Okay, now thanks to Vigilus, you can take things like the drop force and all that, but I think you could get away with this. Obviously, you're going to be a bit short of points now if you've taken like 3, 4 Liam Russes and 2 or 3 Basilisks and a load of infantry. You're probably going to have like 300 or 400 points left over. So you're going to really need to concentrate. The Scions have to be delivered just right, because if you deliver them and it goes wrong, it will actually boomerang and your opponent will get a boost from it. Okay? And let me tell you what I have found to be a particularly tasty and relatively cheap Scion Alpha Strike is, and I use this all the time, is 2, it's just a little Scion battalion. You want the command points. A little Scion battalion, you take 3 5-man Scion squads and give a plasma gun to each one. You then take 2 Scion command squads and put 4 plasma guns in each one. And then you take 2 Scion Tempesta Primes. Okay? That's all you have to do. and you give the Tempesta Primes command rods, and then you take your 2 company command squads, and then you take your 3 regular squads. That comes to about 450 points. 450 points, and you deliver that anywhere, and it will surgically remove a portion of your opponent's army. Surgically remove it. Okay, so that's your second. So your opponent's like, okay, I just got smashed, but I've had my turn. I've been able to do some damage back. Maybe I can get myself back into this. And then the Scions come down, and they just evaporate something. Because the great thing about that little Scion configuration is plasma guns are rapid fire. So if you're facing someone who has a lot of infantry, you're still able to get a decent amount of firepower out of each one of those units. You know, there's 8 shots. 16 plasma shots from those command squads. You can get extra. That's likely to get you 3 extra shots from your Scion trait. You've got the same roughly 7 shots from each one of the regular squads. Some of them plasma, some of them not. And yeah, put plasma pistols on the regular squads as well for that little extra bit of punch. And then you have enough orders there to make sure they're all rerolling ones, because you can use things like Inspired Tactics or the Auto-Relic Tiberius to get yourself that 5th order for that squad. So there you go, guys. That is how I would do. And it's a bit of a long video. We've talked about a few different things, a bit of a tangent, but it's all about these mind games, guys. And like I said, it's not about like shitting on your opponent. It's about knowing their state of mind and being able to take advantage of it, but not being a dick to them. 40k is a 2-way game, and also if you go to a lot of tournaments, you will get a reputation. And so make sure you're getting a good one. It's important to be aware of these things, but it's important to have. We've talked about this before about etiquette, gamer etiquette. You know, it's important to have that balance. So thank you guys for listening. Leave lots of comments below. If you've got any ideas for how you implement your Imperial Guard Alpha Strike and Beta Strike, let me know. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.